Coming up this week on Sporting Journal Radio, Steve Pennaz tells us about a record amount of money raised for the Minnesota Fishing Challenge.
This fish was well over 30 pounds.
Randin Olson tells us the techniques that he used to catch a bunch of walleyes.
Once we figured that out, we were able to start catching some more fish.
And Joe Henry has the latest from Lake of the Woods.
We're going to find some good fish on Lake of the Woods. Why? Because there's millions of fish to find.
Join us this week on Sporting Journal Radio.
We're not just a radio show anymore.
Hunt, fish, listen, repeat.
Broadcasting from the Camp Grayling Studios, this is Sporting Journal Radio.
Presented by OnX. Know where you stand with OnX.
That's a new personal best pike here.
Now here's your host, Bret Amundson.
Yes, welcome to the show. Thank you for tuning in on this station on the radio network by downloading the podcast or by watching this on YouTube or Facebook. That's Dan Amundson right over there. Dan, how are you doing?
That's not me.
That's you.
Me.
I like the other one better, let's be honest.
Well, see you later.
We had a great time at the Minnesota Association of Convention and Visitors Bureau last week. So if we met you out there, it was nice to meet you. Thank you for inviting us. We got to do a little speech and presentation and tell people what this show is all about. Got to see our friends Joe Henry and Eric Osberg while we were there as well. And Joe's going to be joining us later in the show to talk about fishing up at Lake of the Woods and what they're catching walleyes on right now, where they're finding fish and what the water levels are like. Randin Olson is going to be joining us as well, too, to talk about how he has been finding walleyes lately. It's been an interesting technique, as a matter of fact. And he recently fished the Minnesota Fishing Challenge tournament, which raised a record amount of money this year. Steve Pennaz is the honorary tournament director, and Steve is going to join us from Orlando, Florida. We'll find out why he's down there, and we'll talk a little bit more about that Minnesota Fishing Challenge and who it benefits, why the tournament is important, why winning the tournament isn't important, but the money raised is. And we'll also find out why, how excited he is to get up to Tazin Lake Lodge this summer to film an episode of Lake Commandos. First, though, Dan, who is this show brought to us by this week?
This show is brought to us by Haybale Heights Campground and Resort. Plan a trip to Devil's Lake. Learn more at haybaleheights.com. Ottertail Lakes Country. Find your inner otter at ottertaillakescountry.com. Lake of the Woods Tourism. Lake of the Woods is the walleye capital. Plan a trip for this summer at Lake of the Woods, mn.com. Camp Grayling. Catch the Grand Slam in Saskatchewan. Lake trout, pike, grayling, and walleye. Fish Camp Grayling this summer. OnX. Know where you stand with OnX. They've got a big sale going on right now. Mid-Migration Outfitters. Plan a trip to come hunt waterfowl out of heated 10-man pits and comfortable blinds. Learn more at midmigrationoutfitters.com. And Prairie Sportsman. Check out new episodes and old episodes at the Prairie Sportsman YouTube channel and on their website.
So OnX has got that deal going on, and I know there's a lot of people out there that either don't have OnX yet, or they haven't upgraded their plan, and they're like, "Gosh, I know." They're always asking me, "Why should I do this? What benefits are there?" This is the time to do it right now. Dan, what are they going to get with that 30% off?
Well, you're not going to pay as much money is what you're going to get. that's how a sale works.
Oh, okay.
But no, so you're going to get, we've talked about OnX a bunch. It's a great tool to have, and you get landowners, you can see public land, you can find access, you can find this and that and more info than I know what to do with the app. I've only scratched the surface with it, and I use it all the time. I use it for more than just hunting. I've used it for fishing, for ice fishing, this and that. But yeah, now through June 21st, this says 2021. I'm assuming that's 2022 on the website. You get 30% off new OnX memberships. For Father's Day, use the code DAD22. So even if you need a gift for your dad or your grandpa or whatever, or if you just want to save 30%, use the code DAD22 and pick up a subscription for this fall.
Very good. OnXmaps.com is the website where you can learn more about all of that. Well, we couldn't be more excited to be heading up to Saskatchewan for our annual summer trip to Tazin Lake Lodge. I'm using the word we, but in reality, it's been me, and Dan is joining us this year to go up there. Dan, I know I've asked you this a bunch of times, but you don't think this place is real still,
I won't believe it till I land. It seems too good to be true.
It's going to be fun, and we looked at a satellite map. This is as far north in Saskatchewan as you can go. We're just about 10 kilometers-ish or so from the northwest for the Northwest Territories border. So right up in the northwest corner of Saskatchewan on the north side of Lake Athabasca, right by Alberta. It's a beautiful, beautiful area. The fish are giant. It's remote. You have to fly in. This is a little taste of where we're headed.
Oh, this doesn't get any better for sure. Yeah, it's a special place.
It's probably going to be my best trout day ever as far as size and numbers of size in my life. Imagine unless I get back here.
Certainly, it's a big part of it. You know, a lack of fishing pressure is huge, and then of course, just the fishery itself, the resource is huge as well.
That's a new personal best pike here for me. Huge fish here at Tazin Lake.
You're still shaking.
Giving you a workout.
Absolutely. Awesome.
That's your moonshot behind you.
That's awesome. Tazin Lake experience. Right there. Whoa.
It must be overflowing. Coming around here unless I thought
And we got trees down all over the place. Trees there, couple of trees down here. Well, Trevor, you got a chance to walk through camp. What do you think?
Well, we thought we were just going to slide in here for a nice 7 easy days of fishing, but it looks like we got a little cleanup to do.
All right, so if you were listening on the radio and wondering what that was all about, that was a teaser of Tazin TV 2021. So that was last year's Tazin TV episodes. You can watch those now if you haven't seen them. Go to tazinlake.com, just click on Tazin TV, or you can find the Tazin Lake Lodge YouTube channel. And we're making a new season. That's what we're heading up there to do. So in fact, next week here on the show, we're going to be broadcasting from Tazin Lake Lodge. It's here, Dan.
Yeah, it's not going to be the Camp Grayling studios. It'll be back at the Tazin Lake Lodge studios.
That's right. Before that, though, we got some fishing reports, and we're going to check in with Steve Pennaz when we come back.
852 million acres of public land, 147 million private properties.
All in the palm of your hand. The #1 hunting GPS app just got better. With hundreds of custom map layers, 3D and topographic maps, you can easily scout on the road or at home before you go. And now you can get important weather details, CWD detection, and even know what crops have been planted where. Get the most trusted hunting GPS app ever made. OnX. Know where you stand with OnX.
Well, the Minnesota Fishing Challenge recently took place on Gull Lake and raised a record amount, $512,000. That's amazing. And to learn more about it, the honorary tournament director joins us now, Hall of Famer Steve Pennaz, host of Lake Commandos. He's also known from North American Fisherman, Not Wars, but soon he's going to be catapulted into even more fame and fortune with his appearance on this summer's Tazin TV. Steve, how you doing?
I'm good, down in Orlando, and I don't know if the lawnmower just started as we're here. So can you hear that?
I don't hear it.
If you don't hear it, let me know. I might have to move inside, but I wanted to enjoy the heat from Florida heat right now.
So you're in Orlando. How hot is it, first of all? Because summertime in Florida sounds terrible.
Today is not bad. Yesterday was 97. So it was brutal. I mean, you melt walking out of the building. So, But not bad today. We got some clouds. It'd be a good day to be fishing.
But why you're down there, though, makes it all worth it. Tell us why you're down there.
Well, my son Pierce has been competing in gymnastics for Special Olympics since he was like 8 or 9, and he a team Minnesota this year to compete in the USA Games, and so he's been competing the last 3 days. It was pretty awesome. He ended up winning a gold overall and a couple silvers yesterday, and then he had his last 3 events today. So we'll see how he did tomorrow.
That's awesome. You cut out just a little bit, but it's the Special Olympics Olympic Games going on down there, right?
Yeah, they call it the USA Games. There's almost 3,000 athletes from all over the country. I saw Alaska, Hawaii, and Florida, and New York, and it's Texas, everything. It's just a fun event. I have to.
Pierce has his own Facebook page, and I have to read what his bio is on there because this is great. It's Pierce the Beast. He's been destroying the definition of Down syndrome since day one. Fearless and funny. This fan of WWE girls, classic rock, and meat sticks is showing the world what it means to lead from the heart. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is he there?
He's not. He's back at the hotel, and they're heading to Wild Kingdom this afternoon after the competition ended. But yeah, it's been an amazing experience. It'll be in Minnesota in 4 years, and if you haven't had a chance to actually check out Special Olympics, I highly recommend anybody in Minnesota to volunteer to be part of this.
It's coming to Minnesota in 4 years, really?
Yeah, it's going to be based on probably the University of Minnesota campus, and then all around that area. But it's not like youth sports. It's not like professional sports. You're out there cheering for everybody, and it's just a lot of smiles, a lot of happiness. It's a pretty cool time.
So is he planning? Can he be a part of it in 4 years again?
We'll see. It's pretty rare to be invited once, let alone twice. And so he played as unified basketball in 2018 in Seattle, and then this year he actually competed as a gymnast. So we'll see. I'd like to get him into powerlifting. He's such a brute. But one of the guys today deadlifted over 600 pounds.
Oh boy!
Incredible.
Wow. So how long had he been working for this? So you obviously didn't expect this. This was kind of a surprise, or?
Well, when he was 10, he was actually invited to apply to be on Team USA. His gymnast abilities at the time were outrageous because he was so small and so strong for his weight. He was rocking through all the competitions. He was winning golds in almost every event, if not all, in some competitions. And then COVID hit, and all of the special needs, all the Special Olympics events, all the unified sports events just shut down. And he's been sitting around too many days at home, and has put on a little bit of weight, and it just made him difficult to compete at the level that he has in the past. But yeah, he did well. I was real proud of him.
Yeah. What was your favorite moment?
Well, he did a vault that was just he ran down the track at about 100 miles an hour, jumped on the thing and went way in the air, landed, stuck the landing, and he just knew it. He just went. It was fun.
That's
that was
great.
Fun.
Well,
Yeah.
I know you posted some videos on your Facebook page. It was fun to follow along virtually down there. So congratulations. And congratulations on the recent Minnesota Fishing Challenge, $512,000. Man.
Absolute new record. I give Bernie Berenger an amazing, he's doing an amazing job, that entire team at Minnesota Delta Team Challenge. They're having an 80% success rate with clients breaking with addiction, and that's unheard of in the thing. And you can just see the choirs up there. Sam Anderson's leading it, and I tell you what, if you ever sit in that auditorium, or that's Heritage Church, and listen to some of the testimonies from Teen Challenge, and listen to them sing, and see the difference that this event, or this organization and this event, are having and changing lives and families, it's pretty powerful. So if you haven't fished yet, put it on your calendar next year, that first week in June, and just commit to being part of it.
Yeah, I think I did it when I was living up there. I did it. I think it was 2015 when I was a part of it, and I'd love to be back. My summers get a little crazy, but I just really enjoyed the event, and I really respect what it's all. Tell our listeners and our viewers here just a little bit more background about why this event takes place and what it benefits.
So Minnesota Adult Teen Challenge is a faith-based drug and alcohol treatment program. Addiction affects a lot of families. It affects my family and virtually every family. And the nice thing about this program is it works. They really do a great job. Started this event 14 years ago. As you know, and I know, spending a lot of time behind the windshields, you get a chance to think and things. And he had a chance to, just develop this idea about the Minnesota Fishing Challenge. Jim Kalkofen from the PW2 got involved, and we put together a very professional event, and it's just been amazing. It's just absolutely amazing. I think the first year we raised 30 or 40 or 50,000 or something, and last year was 444,000, and this year 512. I mean, Bernie has put so much into this. I mean, he was virtually in tears. It's incredible. This
is raised obviously from people that are participating, but then also you have some donors, I'd assume, that like giving money to this.
Yeah, there's been it's title sponsored by Fleet Farm, and Sea Foam is involved, and a number of companies are involved. But majority of this money is being raised by the actual teams. That team with Rich and those guys are up there. They've raised over $1 million in the last 12 years. That's one of the reasons that we celebrated that at the event. And a number of teams are raising, 10, 15, 20, 25,000. And I think that's where it came together, where it's just, I think people feel that connection with the men that are up there, and they feel the connection. They know they're making a difference. And when you can fish for both men and for the Lord, it's a pretty powerful weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. That takes place on Gull?
Yeah, the Gull Lake chain. So everybody fishes Round and Roy and all that whole thing. So it's a nice tournament because you can fish walleye, you can fish bass, you can fish multi-species, you can target panfish and things. There's Mark and Grady. They had a nice bag this year. They had just over 11 pounds on largemouth. And on an average day, I mean, even if you don't know the lake, you can go out there and catch 30, 40, 50 largemouth. The fishing's just phenomenal.
So if somebody wants to be a part of it next year, whether they want to be a sponsor or get a team together, what do they need to do?
Just go to Minnesota Fishing Challenge and check out the website, or go to Minnesota Adult Teen Challenge. There's actually the North American Fishing Challenge. I think it's next week, where you can fish. It's an all online tournament and still participate and still be involved, and you still get a chance to win a boat by raising at least $500 in support of the event. But that's another way to get involved, and it's still an opportunity available right now.
Okay, great. Well, as I get older and I do different things, I look back every once in a while on different jobs I've had or jobs I never got. And I don't remember all the exact details, but it must have been right out of high school. I interviewed for a job somehow. I don't know how I heard about it, but I think it was North American Fishing or North American Fishing Club or something like that.
Really?
And yeah. And I remember walking in and they said, okay, we need you to sit down at this computer and see how fast you type. I don't remember what the job was, what it was for, but they tested my words per minute for my typing abilities. And I was like, oh, all right, this is a pretty cool fishing job. Do some typing. I didn't get the job, so apparently I didn't type fast enough. But yeah, so I don't remember what.
I never knew that. I never knew that story. That's funny.
Yeah, so that was a while ago. But I'm excited to get you up to Tazin Lake this year, Steve.
Looking forward to it. It's only a couple of weeks away, and then I can get out of the Florida heat. And what I love about heading to the far north, and I've never been on Tazin, and that's one of the things that we do on Lake Commandos is we try to figure out new bodies of water. But when you've got a lake with lake trout up to 70-some pounds, and you've got these pike that are 45, even 50 inches or more, I mean, who doesn't want to go there and enjoy just phenomenal fishing? And so it'll be fun. So
you're going to face off against Danny Thompson from Garmin.
Yeah.
And yeah. I don't know. I mean, maybe you've got strategies. Maybe you can talk about them right now. Maybe you're holding them a little close, keeping them secret right now. But it's going to be real clear water. It was a late spring, so the ice, we were looking at satellite imagery here this week. The ice looks like it's finally ice-free. There's still a little bit of ice hanging on here pretty late, but I think it's all ice-free now. So the water temps should be, by the time you get there, they should be getting into that, mid-60s. You should be sitting pretty good.
Oh, that warm. I'm a little concerned about be up in the Back Bay, but it's going to slide out already.
Yeah. We lost you there for just a second, but if you were talking about warming waters in the Back Bays, that's definitely what we're a little worried about as well too. But it's some pretty nice temperatures up there, some warmer temps. I think it was 66 here was the high the other day. So no real. It's going to be 60s and 40s for the overnight. So it's going to be slow going, but it should be warming up. But real clear water up there. I don't know how much weed growth there will be yet. But based on that, how do you think you would attack a new body of water?
If we're going to target pike, one of the things that I've learned a long time ago is that the big pike don't like to chase. And you can catch them on spoons, you can catch them on some of the traditional minnow baits and things like that. But I've found that these big fish are actually not apt to chase as much, especially the bigger fish. I'll tell you a story. Years back, we were on a lake in northern Manitoba. And we got off the plane. There was still ice on the main lake. This was a June trip as well. And we pulled into a Back Bay, and I threw a bait out. I threw an inline spinner, I think. And we had several big fish. We're talking 17, 18, 19, 20-pound pike follow the bait to the boat. But the only ones we could get to bite were these 5-6 pounders. And what happens is in the evenings, everything cools down, the water cools down, and as soon as that sun comes up, it's very intense. The dark water bays, dark bottom, and that water temperature explodes going up. And those big fish don't warm as fast as the slow fish. So they're in a situation where they're not acclimated to the water and they're not so active. But if you leave those fish alone and go back in the afternoon, it can be absolutely lights out. So my plan is to scout in the morning and kill the big fish in the afternoon. Not kill them, but really target them with presentations that allow them to bite.
Isn't it funny how as you get older and you fish different bodies of water and you catch a few big fish? I remember growing up and having a day full of 5 and 6 pound northerns and just being jacked about it.
Yeah.
And they're fun fish. They're always going to be a fun
absolutely.
fish, 5-6 pound fish. But after you catch, especially after you spend some time in the north and in some of those Canadian lakes where you start getting into the 40-plussers, you get a little spoiled after a while.
Absolutely. There's something about giant pike that I just absolutely love them. I've been chasing them for well over 30 years now, and it's every time you see one of those fish that comes in and you try to get your hand over the back and you can't get to it because it's too big, and you got to hold it up under the belly just to support it. Those are fun fish.
Well, with that clear water up there, the goal is to get you sight fishing for some of these big pike. And I'm guessing you've done that before, but it is some of the most exciting fishing I've ever been a part of.
I'm amazed when you look across the bay and you see this log on the bottom and you throw a bait next to it just out of habit, and all of a sudden that log turns and starts following. That's when things get fun.
Yeah, I don't know how many times we've sat there going, is that a log?
Yeah.
And then you see it move just a little bit. And
yeah, when in doubt.
My favorite story is Barry Prawl, one of the owners up at Tazin that you'll meet when you get up there. He's kind of a reserved guy. He doesn't get real animated, doesn't get real excited. And I was fishing at Tazin with him a couple of years ago, and we were sight fishing, and he was in the back, and he was kind of slowly back trolling a little bit. And all of a sudden, I heard more. It was just noises coming out of his mouth. He wasn't even forming words. And it was the biggest pike he'd ever seen in his life. He's like, "Oh my gosh, Bret!" And I was actually throwing a streamer fly at it, and trying to pick it off with a little bit more subtle presentation. And he's like, "Oh, it's turning!" And there's like 30 syllables in the word "turning" that he's spitting out at me because he's so excited. And I ended up hooking into the fish. You can see it on one of the episodes of Tazin TV. I hook into it, and I'm freaking out because I can tell it's big, and it just is going wherever it wants. And I could see a branch coming up out of the water, and it was headed straight for whatever that log that was under the water there. And he rapped on it and popped off. And at the time, that would have been the biggest pike I'd ever caught. I think I surpassed it last year with the 50-incher, but
You got a 50.
I got a 50 up there last year. Yeah.
I had a chance to fish a river in Alaska one time with a double buzzbait, and the camp had a rule of one hook. There's a lot of waterfall up there, so I started throwing a double buzzbait, bringing it across the surface, and the biggest pike I've ever seen, the biggest pike in the world, I don't know how big it was, came up and ate the double buzzbait, and I was shocked. I kind of waited till he turned, set the hook, and the bait come flying out of his mouth, and I gave the death stare to the guide, and who was also the owner of the lodge, and he said to me, "Go ahead," which means I could put my stinger hook on the buzzbait.
That's the worst. The top water stuff, I always set the hook way too early on them.
Is that right? Yeah.
You get so excited.
This fish was well over 30 pounds. I don't know how many pounds it was, but it was long and fat, and I've had them up to 50 inches myself, and this thing was a class by itself. But
man,
yeah, good fish story.
Yeah, that's great. I ended up catching one a couple of years ago up there, and I could see it, and I think I was throwing like a MEPS number 5 big spinner, inline spinner, and I threw it out, and the water exploded immediately. And as I was bringing it in, I could see this pike following it, and it was huge. And what happens a lot of times up there, there's so many little fish in there too that sometimes the little fish will sneak in front and bite that before the big one can get to it. And that's what happened. I saw this little one come in, and I'm like, doggone it, this little fish is going to come up and eat this thing in front of this monster. And he did. I think he was 41 inches was the little one.
Oh, the little fish.
The little one was 41. I couldn't believe it. That was one of the first years I was up there, and I was just kind of blown away by the whole thing. And, the pike fishing is incredible, but the lake trout is just unreal. Have you done a lot of big lake trout fishing, Steve?
I've had a chance to fish a lot of the big lakes like Williston and Reindeer and all that, and Newellton, and over the years. And I've had some giant lake trout. I haven't broken 40 I know I haven't broken 40. So I'm looking forward to it. But one of the things I like about lake trout, and one of the things I'm excited about going up there with Danny Thompson with Garmin, is we're going to bring a live scope with, and I want to see what's actually out there. I want to see how they respond to the presentation, and I want to see what we can do that maybe if we didn't have the electronics, just if it would open the doors for giants that we just didn't know were there.
Well, if the water's still a little bit colder, you might find the big ones a little bit shallower yet too. So it's a lot of fun when you hook into a 30-pounder in less than 30 feet of water or something like that. Hold on.
Yeah. The lake trout have a bad rap in the Great Lakes, but when you hook these giants in Saskatchewan, in Manitoba, or whatever, it's amazing because they really do fight.
Yeah, I didn't realize that about lake trout in the Great Lakes. And we did some sports shows a couple of years ago, and we were down in Chicago and Milwaukee, around Lake Michigan a little bit, and we'd show them these pictures of 50-pound lake trout or whatever. They're like, you got salmon? No, we got you see the banner?
Yeah.
See the banner behind me? The world record lake trout size. Those grease balls. I want some salmon. I'm like, oh, I know. Well, yeah. I mean, these are not your typical lake trout that we have up here.
Yeah. I've had a chance to fish Quebec a number of times, and it's amazing. You'll have a 3 or 4 pound brook trout on, which is a trophy brook trout in a lot of waters, and watch these 15, 20, 25 pound lakers smoke them like pike. It's pretty interesting.
Well, it's going to be a lot of fun, and you're going to be filming Lake Commandos up there. So, for those that don't know what Lake Commando, what you do on Lake Commandos, the format, you and Danny are going to be kind of squaring off, right?
Yeah, it's our goal is to get to a new body of water and figure it out. I mean, we'll stand on the shores of Tazin, and we're going to target pike, I think, first, and Danny will say, well, I think this is the technique that's going to work, and I'll say, no, that's totally wrong, and we're going to go this route, and then we're going to go out and fish head to head to see who can catch the biggest fish. But one of the things that really the show is all about is about building patterns. So if we're after walleye, we may do soft plastics and cranks or live bait and jigs or something like that, and just see what's working. Tweaks we can make that are more productive than other guy. And it's really all about building patterns. And if you're looking at how to build patterns, that's a tough thing to learn. That's the way to do it.
It's a fun show to watch, and it's I love the idea behind it and the format of it. So I'm excited to see it in action on Tazin. And I just got something in the mail the other day that I'm going to bring up. It's a what was it, the HD 127 or
HDI 725, I think.
HDI 7, the AquaView that I can run it down 125 feet. So
wow.
I'm going to try to get one of those big Lakers laying on the bottom down in 100 feet of water. I'm just going to try to get it on camera first, but I want to try to jig one off the bottom at 100 feet and get it on camera while I'm up there.
Yeah, the AquaView's products, they changed winter fishing, and now they're changing summer fishing. I mean, it's amazing what you learn by just kind of taking a peek under the surface. And I can tell you, one year we used the old-fashioned cameras that were connected, and we ran a spoon off the back, and we couldn't troll fast enough because the camera would wobble too much. At one point, we had 6 Lakers in a single file line behind the bait, and we never did trigger one, which was interesting.
Well, that's what's funny about lake trout is we've had big lake trout eat our lures after they've just eaten a 18, 19-inch fish. Like, they're so aggressive that they don't have to be hungry to get caught. But then I think a lot of times it's aggression, and it's also curiosity. And I've run some of those inline cameras and have had multiple fish chasing. And I remember one year up there, it was kind of windy and rainy, and there's a huge island in the middle of the lake with a lake inside the island. So if you get some wind, you can fish every day and just kind of back around out of the wind behind some different islands. So it was just going to be an action day. We were going to try to catch as many lake trout as we could in pike, and we were going to troll some shoreline and try to get underwater strikes on camera. And we went like a half hour without catching a fish, and we were all kind of looking at each other like, something is weird about this.
A full half hour, huh?
Yeah. Well, we're definitely spoiled up there. There's no doubt.
What?
Yeah. There's so many fish in this lake and no pressure. So that's how crazy it is. Like, if you want to catch, if you don't care about the size, you can go and catch. Generally, you can go. I mean, it's still fishing, but generally you can go catch a fish. And so I went back and I reviewed the footage, and for the full half hour, I had at least one lake trout and at times 2 different lake trout just following it. And I had some kind of spoon that was wobbling back and forth, and every once in a while,
like this.
Yeah, and every once in a while, it would swing to the right, and they'd miss to the left. And they were just off a little bit, just a little passive, or it would swing left and they'd miss to the right. But there was fish behind us the entire time, and without that camera, we would have had no idea.
Yeah. No, this winter we had a AquaView down in our fish house all winter, and just watching fish come through, bluegills and crappie and bass and everything. But when you actually can get in a situation where you've got wilderness fish, and these things may be 50, 60, 70 pounds, I mean, come on, is there anything better?
No, it's fun, and you can also use those cameras to see how your lure's running, and if it's running wrong, then it's your fault, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I got some new gear to bring up, so it's going to be an exciting season of Tazin TV, and I'm looking forward to the Lake Commandos maybe episodes. Where can people watch Lake Commandos?
So we air Q1 and Q2 on Outdoor Channel Sunday mornings at 10 o'clock this year, and then Q3, Q4, we're on World Fishing Network a number of times, 4, 5, 6 times a week, depending on the week. And then myoutdoortv.com has our entire library dating back. And I got a call from the Outdoor Channel just a while back, and they said that we're up to almost 500,000 minutes of downloaded Lake Commandos in the last 18 months, which is incredible. So people like the show. It's a fun show to watch. It's a fun show to produce. And I love waking up because we're not going out to do a crankbait show or a topwater show. We're going out, whatever the conditions show us and whatever we think is going to produce fish that day, so we can beat the guy that's in the boat or the gal that's in the boat with us. But at the same time, the whole goal is to build patterns and show people the art of building patterns from what you're seeing on the lake.
Yeah, and that's fun, and people are going to learn something from watching the show, of course, but we're totally ripping off your idea, by the way, Steve. Dan and I, and it's going to be just competition. I mean, we might learn something, but I just want to beat Dan at fishing, and Dan and I are going to do a Tazin TV Lake Commando episode this year. So
only going to be wanting that you're going to be doing.
So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a good summer. I'm looking forward to having you up at Tazin. And Steve, good luck the rest of the time down there in Orlando. And congratulations again on the Minnesota Fishing Challenge. And thanks for the time today on the show.
Great. See you in a couple weeks.
Devil's Lake is legendary, and this summer has been legendary for walleyes. Don't miss out. Call Haybale Heights Campground and Resort today to book one of their modern cabins on East Bay. The cabins are furnished with a full bathroom, kitchen, and all the amenities like high-speed internet and are clean following CDC guidelines. Staying at Haybale Heights gives you full access to a private boat launch, fish cleaning station, and beach area. Learn more at haybaleheights.com. That's haybaleheights.com. Plan your trip to legendary Devil's Lake today.
All right, well, I don't do much tournament fishing, but I think if I decide to get into a tournament here this year, I think I know who I'm going to call, and that's Randin Olson. He's our next guest here on the show. Randin, how you doing, man?
Doing pretty good, guys. Thanks for having me again.
You've had a pretty good year so far in the tournament scene.
Not bad. We're in 2 so far. I think I got 3 or 4 more to go yet this year, but a 6th overall and a 5th so far, so we're climbing the ladder.
Not bad at all. The most recent one, the Minnesota Fishing Challenge, I mean, of course, it's always great to do well in a tournament, but this is just a good tournament to be a part of, isn't it?
Yeah, it's, the fishing's kind of secondary in this tournament. It's all about raising some funds for the Minnesota Teen Challenge and helping that program out as much as possible. Yeah, that was one team in 14 years that raised over $1 million. I believe this year we raised $512,000 between the 120 teams that entered the tournament. So it's a great event. It's a lot of fun. And if you've never fished a tournament, this is the perfect entry level or top level, but everywhere in between. This is the perfect tournament to enter and kind of get your feet wet if you've never done one before.
Yeah, it is. It is a good one, and it's a great, just a great cause to be a part of again, like we were talking about. How many years have you been doing it?
This was my 2nd year doing it, and hopefully I'm going to do it a lot more years because it's probably my favorite tournament of the season. And
you did pretty well this year in it.
We did okay. We oddly enough, we couldn't catch a fish under 20 inches. That's not usually what you say during a tournament. So we weighed a couple 24 inches in, and that was good enough for 5th place. The cool thing with this tournament is you don't decide what you're going to fish until you come to weigh-in. So you can kind of just go fishing all day. They have a bunch of different divisions. They've got walleye, pike, bass, panfish, and then mixed bag. So you can kind of see what bites best and then show up to the dock and put your hat in that ring if you want.
And what did you guys end up catching? Walleyes?
We got 9 walleyes this year. We had a good pattern figured out Friday, and it fell apart Saturday morning during the tournament. So we didn't boat a fish till 11 o'clock, and it ends at 3. But we were able to figure it out. We got some really nice fish figured out. We just strictly stayed with walleyes. Like I said, we couldn't catch one under 20. I think our smallest fish was 21 and a half. So we had some really nice fish. We just need a small one for once.
Yeah, so how does that work? If you can't catch anything under 20 inches, how you have to bring them in and weigh them?
Yep, you just bring your 2 fish over 20 in. That's what you're allowed for the boat. So the ideal bag would be, 2 28s and a 19 and a half. So we were shooting for that 1 19 and a half. That's all we needed. We had our 2 overs.
Well, it sounds like a good day of fishing in any case. How were you catching walleyes there?
So Friday we had them figured out with hair jigs up shallow, pitching kind of on top of the brake lines and working it off. Saturday, what had ended up happening, and we figured it out, it was probably there Friday. We just didn't figure it out Friday. But the bait fish were deep. The bait fish were like 20 to 25, and the fish were up on the top ledge. So what we figured out what was happening is those fish were coming up on the top ledge to digest, to warm up, to get that hot water, and then coming back down the break to feed. So once we figured that out, we were able to start catching some more fish. But we just had to find the right spots where that bait and the fish were kind of mingling together in about 15, 16 foot.
Interesting. I feel like you don't hear that very often, that's the situation. Or maybe people just don't figure that out.
Maybe a little both. I think this time of year more than any, it kind of tends to happen once in a while. Your perch are really moving from the mud to the top sand to back to the mud and kind of back and forth. And if those perch aren't moving up a whole lot, those walleyes got to go feed, and that water's always warmer up shallow. So that warmer water is going to help them digest. And I've seen it before, but it's not a very common thing.
I think hair jigs get overlooked nowadays for walleyes as well.
Yeah, and I think I got one right here in the boat. I think people just automatically assume you got to put meat on that, and that's truthfully, my opinion is you wreck the action of these things when you put a big hunk of meat on the back. You can see I got a little tiny paddle tail on there. That's as much as I'll go on these things, but I really like them all natural. Just let that hair work.
So you do have a small little plastic on their paddle tail. Is that, if you put plastic on it, that's what you'll go with?
That's it, yep. Just one thing to remember with hair is they fish about a size smaller. And then if you put plastic on it, you're even knocking that weight down even more. So you're just slowing the bait down, basically. So if you're looking to rip jig one of these things, leave it all natural, no bait, no plastic, no nothing, and go a size up from what you'd normally use in a standard jig. So if you use an 1/8 ounce regular jig, go to a 1/4 ounce hair jig.
And what do you look for colors? How do you decide?
Kind of try to base it off what's in the lake. If it's a big perch population in the lake, we'll go with like a perch pattern, kind of like that one. If the shiner bite's running really good, any of those purples, blues, silvers, whites, that'll all work really well. If I'm looking to be different, like at Brainerd there was a lot of perch everywhere. That was just solid perch. We actually had good luck on black and bright, really like pink, blues, things like that, kind of out there colors. Because it was just something different than a sea of perch.
Well, what's the next tournament for you?
The next one will be the Big Pine Shootout for FM Walleyes here on Big Pine Lake, and that'll be Father's Day weekend.
Father's Day weekend. All right. Well, good luck in that tournament. Randin Olson, congrats on the first 2 tournaments so far. And if people want to jump in a boat and have you guide them for some walleye fishing or crappie fishing or some sort of fishing this summer, what should they do?
Best thing to do is just reach out and give me a call at 218-640-0158. Otherwise, you can always reach out on Facebook or check out our website at lockjawguideservice.com.
Lockjaw Guide Service. Randin Olson, thanks for the time today on the show, man.
Thank you, guys.
Did you know there are more than 1,000 lakes in Otter Tail County?
Yep, and I'm going to fish as many as I can. I'm an outdoorsy otter. Nothing beats a full day of fishing for me. The lakes of Otter Tail County give me plenty of options to lower my boat and snag the perfect catch. Not an outdoorsy otter? No problem. Otter Tail County has something for everyone. You just need to find your inner otter.
To find your inner otter, go to OttertailLakesCountry.com. Northern Minnesota's Walleye Factory is a year-round world-class fishing destination. The perfect getaway this summer is just a short drive to Lake of the Woods. Fish Big Traverse Bay, the Rainy River, or visit the unique Northwest Angle. To catch big fish, you have to go where the big fish are. Plan your trip to Lake of the Woods at lakeofthewoodsmn.com. That's lakeofthewoodsmn.com.
The summer fishing season is here, and if you don't have your summer fishing trips planned just yet, well, there's still plenty of time to do that, and fishing is good. And one of those popular destinations for annual summer fishing trips, or even just a weekend away or a midweek trip, is Lake of the Woods, of course, up in northern Minnesota. And to join us to talk more about that is Executive Director of Lake of the Woods Tourism, Joe Henry. Joe, how's it going?
Gentlemen, how you doing?
Not bad. Not bad at all. It was a good time seeing you in St. Cloud here this past week, by the way.
It was a real nice time. And, we had the Minnesota Association Convention and Visitor Bureau Educational Summit. And Bret and Danny Amundson were guest presenters for that and did a very nice job, by the way. So kudos to you guys.
Well, thank you very much. I think I might have broke the microphone stand while I was up there, but
that was funny. For those of you who maybe didn't see it, Bret, he was pulling the microphone out of the microphone stand, and the whole stand came out of the podium, out of the lectern. So he's got this big, long piece of hardware hanging out of the microphone. Everybody's laughing, and he's walking around talking on it. So pretty humorous. But all kidding put aside, Bret, you talked about a lot of really neat things and a lot of things you do with your show and multi-purposing your content. And I thought it was very well done. And it's always fun, like-minded people like us hanging out. It's always good.
Yeah, and it was great. And, of course, Eric Osberg from Otter Tail Lakes Country was there as well. So we got to hang out a little bit and talk about what we do and try to help some other people in our industry do some similar things. So, and I learned some things from the other speakers, too. I learned some stuff from watching you. I learned it from watching you, Joe. And I also learned some stuff from Eric Osberg as well, too. So it was fun, and it was good to meet all those people, and we learned a few things, too.
Yeah, it's good. Twice a year, the MACVB made up of people that basically run destinations, along with a few guest presenters and a few vendors who want to earn our business. But everybody comes together. It's kind of an intimate crowd. Certainly a lot of education, lots of different seminar speakers and topics, and of course a little bit of networking, a little bit of dinner and drinks and stuff at night. But that's part of it. And yeah, we just do it twice a year, so it's good. It's an industry thing, and Minnesota has a very, very vibrant tourism industry, and it's amazing to me that when I get together with my colleagues, how different our areas are, but so much of what we do has similarities as well, and it makes it all work out nicely.
And I introduced a few people to a hairy buffalo, so. There are a few people.
What is? I don't know what you're talking about. What is a hairy buffalo, Bret?
I don't even know. I'm not sure. But if you go to MC's Dugout, try one. You'll like it.
I think it's some kind of one. It's different colors or something, isn't it? I mean,
there's some different colors. There's a few different things in there. They're delicious. They were pretty good. No, it was a great time. And I know while we were there, my dad was calling me and saying, hey, we're up here at Lake of the Woods. You got any tips for me? And they were trying some different things, and they were bouncing around some different areas, and they were catching fish, but they weren't just throwing them in the boat. And you were like, oh my gosh, I'll make some calls. I'll find out what's happening. And you helped us out a little bit. And I'm happy to report their last day up there. They were only up there for a couple of days, but the last day they just hammered them, caught a pile of slot fish, of course, caught a bunch of big fish. Some of the guys that had never been up there were really impressed. Stayed at Arneson's. They were real happy with the accommodations and real impressed with the resort. Got to stay in the new part of the harbor there that they've recently put in, and just had a great time up there at Lake of the Woods.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Lake of the Woods is one of those bodies of water. They always say that 80% of the fish are in 20% of the water, maybe even less. And, if you're not on them, you're not on them. I mean, it's hard. It's not like always a slam dunk. But I'll tell you something. If you're up there for a few days, and these guys are fishing on their own, so if you go on a charter boat, you're golden. If you go with a guide, you're golden because they know where to go right away. They're networked with other guides and stuff. But, the thing of it is, when you go on your own, you got to find them on your own. And it can be a little bit, if you don't just jump on a pile of fish, it can be a little tough. But you know what? If you keep trying normally, in a few days, you're going to find some good fish on Lake of the Woods. Why? Because there's millions of fish to find. They're always somewhere. But you got to be versatile. You got to try different things, different depths, different techniques. Watch your electronics. And again, eventually you're going to run into them.
Yeah, and that seems to happen anytime I've been on a trip where we're taking our own boat somewhere. It usually takes us a little bit to pattern the fish. Maybe you got to find the spots. You can't always fish memories because fish move around. Water temps change. Water levels change. Things are constantly changing, so you might just have to find them and figure out what's gonna trigger that bite. How are water levels up at Lake of the Woods right now?
Water levels are high. We have record-breaking water at Lake of the Woods, but rest assured, our resorts, these men and women who run resorts up at Lake of the Woods, they are so good. They're entrepreneurs. It's kind of one of those attitudes: find a way, make a way. And they have to. So we have, a lot of our resorts have been doing sandbagging to protect their infrastructure from the high waters. But they're doing things that are unique, like they're building up their docks. Some are using floating docks. They're doing whatever it takes to get people in the water. And you know what? Fishing's been great. Fishing's been really, really good, and that's the saving grace. So yeah, there's a lot of water up there. Things that might look a little bit different at your favorite resort, but the majority of the resorts are found a way to get people out fishing, and it's been good. I will say that the whole fishing thing. June is a fun month because some people are jigging, some are pulling spinners, and some are pulling crankbaits. And it's like people are catching them all three ways.
Well, let's get into more tactics next week here on the show. And if people want to plan a trip yet this summer to get up to Lake of the Woods, what should they do, Joe?
Man, it's a great time. Don't come up unless you want to catch a pile of walleyes. But if you want to check out our website, that is lakeofthewoodsmn.com.
Sporting Journal Radio is a division of Macaba LLC. If you've got a question, comment, or story idea for us, send us an email. Go to sportingjournalradio.com. While you're there, you can learn how to advertise on the show and visit our store for hats, hoodies, coffee mugs, and more. Go to sportingjournalradio.com.